Historical Reconstruction of Aryan X.
Episode 74, Dangun Wanggeom, the Primordial Emperor of Jejeongbunli and the Beginning of the Roman Empire. In 2333 BC, Jejeongbunli, the separation of religion and politics, began in Turkmenistan, Central Asia. The person who received the emperor certification from the Buddha and the Dai Bip Wangchang, the great people court of Dharma, and became the head of politics for the first time in the Imperial Castle is Dangun Wanggeom in Korean history. 1. Meaning of Dangun. In the Hanja Dangun, Dan has a bright meaning, and gun means a subject. Isn't it truly strange? We thought the emperor, who is the king, was the highest person, but this emperor is called Dangun, a subject of someone. Why did the Emperor Dangun, the king who marks the beginning of the history of Jejeongbunli, use the title of subject, gun? We must reveal the reason first to correctly understand how the history of the world was fabricated. I quote the genealogy of Buddhas who succeeded the position of Buddha after Vairocana Buddha, who opened the sky around 3897 BC up to the period of Jejeongbunli. Quoting the genealogy of Hanungs of the Sinsi Battle Nation, 18 generations, reigning years 1,565 years. First Gebal Han Hanung, BC 3897, 120 years old, also known as Badal Hanung, Vairocana Buddha, Dayung. Second Gebal Li Hanung, BC 3803, 120 years old, omitted. 14th Zhao Ji Hanung, BC 2706, also known as Chiyu Chenwang, 151 years old. 15th Jiek De Hanung, BC 2597, 118 years old. 16th Chukdari Hanung, BC 2453, 99 years old. 17th Hiek Dase Hanung, BC 2452, 97 years old. 18th Gebel Dan Hanung, BC 2380, also known as Danung, BC 82 years old. Handangogi / Jungsen Segesa. The above chronological table is the genealogy of Buddhas from the opening of the sky by the Buddha around 3897 BC until the ascension of Dangun Wanggeom, the origin of Jejeongbunli, which was continuously succeeded until the modern era of 1860, but all genealogies of Buddhas were erased in the fabricated history. The Buddha contemporary with Dangun Wanggeom, the origin of Jejeongbunli, ascending to the throne was the 18th Gebel Dan Hanung, Danung. The common point between Danung of the Buddha and Dangun of the origin of Jejeongbunli is precisely the word Dan. The primordial emperor of Jejeongbunli, Dangun, meant a subject of this Buddha, Danung. All emperors who were kings of Central Asia throughout history were Dangun, subjects of the Buddha. Regarding Wanggeom of Dangun Wanggeom, the primordial emperor of Jejeongbunli, Wanggeom was said to be the emperor who is the king of all people. Dangun Wanggeom, the primordial emperor of Jejeongbunli, was a subject of the Buddha and at the same time the emperor who is the king of all people. The surname that originated from Dangun Wanggeom, the primordial emperor of Jejeongbunli, was the Wang surname. Among Korean surnames, the only surname whose meaning signifies king, Wang, is the Wang surname which started from this time. 2. Imperial Castle, Wanggeom Song. Due to the brutality of fabricating world history, which is Korean history, by Japanese imperialists in the early 1900s, they fabricated history to erase all recognition, location, and contents regarding the Imperial Castle. But Aryan X is not one who cannot find it. I will reveal other names of Wanggeom Song, the imperial castle of the emperor, where the person occupying this place became the king, the emperor, in Korean history. However, it was said that the Epang palace of Emperor Qin Shi Huang in Chinese history was located at the site of the imperial castle in Korean history. In other words, the Chinese history transplanted to the current China was precisely the history of Korea, the Scythian Aryans, which was in Central Asia. I quote a poem from Joseon, the last dynasty of Korea. Former Chengpian country below Jejeongbunli, the old Emperor Sao before Youngho died. Cool breeze blows on the leather tent at midnight. A cup of clear dew came out from the golden mirror. The escort of 3,000 warriors must have been magnificent. 16 heavenly horses fit the castle walls perfectly. Coming 10,000 li, I mourn the place of enjoyment. In the empty castle, only smoke is thick. Even the grass has withered. Upon the founding of Joseon, the last dynasty of Korea, seeing the capital of the previous dynasty, Goryeo, devastated, he recited his inspiration. However, Jejeongbunli and Youngho appearing in the verses are also place names in Beijing of current China. You have seen that the historical contents and place names that were in Central Asia have been transplanted exactly to the current China through fabrication. The place where Jejeongbunli and Youngho was is called the Old Emperor's Sao. This is also the place where the Imperial Castle was located, where the person occupying this place became the king, the emperor, in Korean history. However, the phrase Monli, 10,000 li, appeared in the verse. In Hanja, li has a concept of distance, but it is a Hanja character used much more frequently to mean a village of a region. This emperor's Sao is called Mon Li, and the long wall, Jongsong, located here is called the Great Wall, Monli Jongsong. The Great Wall, Monli Jongsong, of Emperor Qinshi Huang was a wall located in the region called Monli, but they altered it into a long wall of 10,000 li distance while fabricating history and artifacts. There would be no fools building a wall as a long wall of 10,000 li in a straight line. Now, since it was said that the place where the Imperial Castle was located was where Emperor Shi Huang of the Pin dynasty in Chinese history was, I will find the Epang Palace of Emperor Shi Huang in the contents of Korean history.
Jeongdojeon, a founding contributor of Joseon, the last dynasty of Korea, looked around Hansong, the Imperial Castle, and recited his inspiration, which I quote. Second, capital city, Toseong, and palace garden, Kungwon. The castle, Seong, is an impregnable fortress, Cheolleongseong, high as 1,000 fathoms. Clouds are surrounded by the 5 colors of Bongnae. Year after year, orioles and flowers in the upper garden, Sangwon. Age after age, people of the capital city, Toseong, enjoy themselves. The 5 colors of Bongnae appearing in the verse mean that the place where this imperial castle was located was the Ganggang-san mountain region, where the Buddha and the Dae Pop-wang-chang, great papal court of Dharma, relied on, and Ganggang-san mountain in history was called Bongnae. It fits perfectly with the situation in Turkmenistan, Central Asia. However, a building called Sangwon, Upper Garden, appeared in the verse of Jeongdojeon, the founding contributor of the Joseon dynasty. Aha! Through such verses, this is the moment when history fabrication turns into bubbles. Sangwon, Upper Garden, of the Korean figure Jeongdojeon, is an abbreviation of Sangnim-won, Shanglim Garden, Up-lim-won. This Sangnim-won, Shanglim Garden was created in the Qin dynasty of Emperor Qinshi Huang in Chinese history and recreated in the Han dynasty. I quote the Sangnim-won section of the Encyclopedia of Korean Culture Archetypes. Royal Garden, O1, created during the Qin dynasty, historically located west of Chang'an County, Chang'an-hyun. Chang'an in Chinese history is the same place name as Hanyang in Korean history, and I said the place where the imperial castle was located was Hanyang. However, it is said that the Epang Palace of Emperor Qinshi Huang of Chinese history was located in this Sanglim-won, Upper Garden, appearing in the verse of Korean history. Aha! Through such verses, this is the moment when history fabrication turns into bubbles. The Epang Palace of Emperor Qinshi Huang in Chinese history was in Sanglim-won, and this Sanglim-won was also the place name where the imperial castle was located in Korean history. Like this, you will frequently see scenes where Chinese history and Korean history overlap. Do you know where Wanggeom-sung, the imperial castle where Dangun Wanggeom, the primordial emperor of Jejeongbunli, ascended to the emperor of the world is? Among the 5 peaks of Turkmenistan, Central Asia, the flat region in the middle surrounded by 3 peaks was precisely the Hanyang and Chang'an in history where the Imperial Castle was located. 3. Beginning of the Roman Empire. When we study history, if we only look at the fragment of one region, we cannot see the big stream. We must always make judgments keeping the relevance with the center in mind. In 2333 BC, when Jejeongbunli, the separation of religion and politics, began in Turkmenistan, Central Asia, the Emperor of Central Asia dispatched forces to take charge of politics on behalf of the existing Gyeohangchang, papal courts, or bodhisattva departments in the 4 directions of east, west, south, and north under the approval of the Buddha. At this time, the political forces dispatched from Central Asia to the Anatolian Peninsula, where the Maitreya Bodhisattva department of Europe was located, were precisely Armenia and Kurdistan. They were precisely the identity of Rome in history. In the next episode, I will reveal the analysis of the Elam Empire and Indian history and the doppelganger of history. Please refer to the attached blog for details regarding the YouTube video release schedule and titles, as well as the title and table of contents of the prepared book. https://blog.neighbor.com/GoKingGarcia